Hello, welcome back to my channel. Have you ever looked at a website and wanted to take the information off that website and perhaps use it in your own code? Well, that's what I'm going to teach you how to do today. Please note that this video is not meant to be watched directly after the previous video I made. This isn't a completely beginner lesson, and you should probably have some basic knowledge before watching. So let's get started. But first, you need to know what web scraping and APIs are. Generally, we need to scrape a website when they don't have an API. Don't know what an API is? Well, APIs are set up by websites and give you information about them. For example, there could be an API from a weather company that supplies information and that you about the weather that you could get from a few parameters. With that, you could make a website that gives you information based on those parameters. That sounds really useful, right? Wrong. There are plenty of ways to get the same information, but it's just really the concept that we need. So when we scrape the web, we can get information like that, but when the website doesn't give us an API. So how do we start making a web scraper? Well, the web scraper I'm going to teach you how to make uses Beautiful Soup. So to use, and a pretty goofy name by the way, but to use that we have to import it first. So first from BS4, Beautiful Soup 4, we import Beautiful Soup. And then to make this, we also need to import requests. Okay, so now that we have these, we need to get our URL. So now we get our URL, and this is the website we're planning on scraping, right? So for beginners, I would recommend this website right here, quotestoscrape.com. So I'm going to put that there. And then next we need to get our response. And then that is just from the request library, you request the .get URL. And then the HTML is equal to the response text. So then we can print the HTML. So this is the HTML for the website. It's a lot, but we don't really need to worry about that right now. That's just to show you that we can print it. So next what we need to do is we need to set a variable. Doesn't need to be named check, and then Beautiful Soup, and then we have HTML and HTML parser. Don't need to run it there. Okay. So once we have that, it's really looking at the HTML of this website, which you can also find here. And it's a lot more than this, as most of these open up into more things. So then we need to find what we're looking for. So I like to call it this, and then it gives us a recommendation. So this is like a div or a paragraph, or it's one of these, see? Right before it, or an H2, and then what it does is it looks through the H2s, and then this part is the class. So see this, the class of this item would be tag-item, and then inside of it would be all this stuff, or the class tag, and then inside the class tag you have all of this stuff. So from that you would be able to scrape the website. So you could do, let's just keep it with what it is here, since that it gave it to us. So we could print the number of my links just to see how many there are. So there's 10 of them. Then we could just print the links. So these are the links. What are these? Well, we can look for span. So here would the span be, and then we need to find the class text. So that would probably be, well, we could find this easier. We could just inspect this. So here we found it, span with the class text. And inside there is the text of the quote. So we have a quote here. So now you can quite easily scrape the website. And then, so this is just this isn't the quote in particular. This is just the data from there. So you could see here it says this is the thing. You can see this directly. You can see the HTML here is now here. But that's not what we want. We want the quote. So if we want to find the quote, we're going to have to do that differently. So we could check, well, for link in my links, oh, forgot that. Then we could just print link.text. And then we have all our quotes down here. And then if we deleted this part, we have all our quotes nicer. And then we could even just add a blank space just to make it even better. And we have all our quotes. You might be wondering, how do we figure this stuff out? All this stuff right here. Because this is very important for our project, as without it, none of this would be possible. Well, it's quite simple. In here, you can, just whatever you're looking for. Let's say you're looking for the tags, okay? You could press inspect, and then it's already highlighted, the line here. So if you're looking for the tags, you could do, keep note of this A here, and the class. So A, class tag. So A, class tag. And this could be a div or whatever it is that you're looking for. And then you can print out all the stuff you're looking for. So these are all the tags. So you can see how it changes based on this and this. So when you're looking for later on in the challenge, the quotes, you can just inspect here. And then here, the span, class text. And then the text would be here. So now the challenge. Now for the challenge. For this challenge, I want you to try and find the quote from a specific person. So you would want to scrape the web to find the person's quote who you're looking for, and then you'd want to find the quote that was written by them. Well, this may sound quite easy, right? You could just find where the author and the text is stored together. Well, yes and no. Yes, because, yeah, you could do that. But the issue with that is the tag is included in there. So when you print it, it looks very ugly and the tag is included, which we're not really looking for. So in the solution, you're going to have to find a way to work around that and just post the quote, or the quote plus the author. Otherwise, it looks very ugly, and the way that we are doing it is also going to help you learn a little bit more about Python. And you wouldn't be able to do this based on the lessons I've given you in my past video. So if you are just from that video, you probably won't know how to do this stuff unless you have other knowledge. Now for my solution. Please note that my solution is definitely not the only solution and probably is not the best solution. This is just how I decided to do it. So first, we need to import our libraries again. Also, if you don't want to watch me just write all the code, you can skip to the end of the video and it will just all be there for you. So just write all our code, or import all our stuff, get our URL. Ooh. Alright, so we have the basic setup, other than this part. And for this part, I'm looking for the author. So inspect here, we can find that it's under small, and then the class is author. So we would go small, and then there, and then it fills it out for me. So now we have the basics done. If we want to check all the stuff, we can just print. We can print that out, and it would print all the authors on this page. So it would print here, 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 and so forth. So you can see them all here. So you see Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, and for this example, I'm going to be looking for all the quotes by Albert Einstein. So next what we need to do is we need to find the quotes that are made by Albert Einstein. And I can't go over the full process I came up with this idea with, as I don't remember all my thought processes, but here's what I did. So I set a variable, I just called it test, doesn't really matter. I set open a dictionary, and then I had a counter equal to 0, and then I had a second counter, which is also equal to 0. And then, from there, for every link in my links, if, and then I have Albert Stein is in the link.text, and then I append, I append the counter, not the link.text, because that is not quite what I'm looking for. So we have counter plus equal to 1. So from here, it would, for every, print test. Every time it says that, it would print here. So I see this counter needs to be outside of here. Otherwise, it won't work properly. Because otherwise, it will only work when it does find there. So we know that there's 3 cases of the quote happening. Here, here, and here. So 3 times, but it didn't give us the correct, or when it actually happened. So now that we have that, we can print it, and now we know that it happens on the 1st, 3rd, and 6th quote. Because remember how dictionaries work, and the starts at 0. So once we have that, you start to realize, what am I doing with this? I don't have enough information. Because when you look at this, I only get the author from this. I don't actually get the quotes, which is where my main issue came from. Because if I just looked for the text overall, I could go under the quote, and I could go div, class, quote, but under all of that, there's also the tags, which is what I was talking about when I gave the challenge. When I tried to use that method, it also printed the tags when I tried to print the quote, which I didn't really like. It looked quite ugly. So I had to come up with a new solution, which has to do with this. Normally, you would not need this. So then I came up with a solution. So I added a new, I checked for the actual text. So span class text is in there. I'm messing up. Oh my gosh. There we go. So we have all that. Once we have all that, then for link in my links to, and for count in test, so for each number in test, if counter 2 is equal to count, then we print the link.text, and then here I printed a extra space just because to make it look better when it prints. And then after that we go here, and then we print, and then counter 2 plus equal 1. So that adds 1 to our second counter. So with that, when we run it, we get all three quotes by Albert Einstein. So it wasn't quite as simple as just taking all this stuff, but it works out fine. And this probably isn't the best way to go about it, but I thought of it, so I did it. Now let me explain more in depth about how it works. So I have a dictionary here, and then two variables. For each time Albert Einstein is mentioned in the author, or for each author that there is, I give it a counter. So this would be 0, this would be 1, this would be 2, and so on. So when it goes and reaches Albert Einstein, I check. If Albert Einstein is in that text, I append the counter to this dictionary. So this dictionary will have all the times that it's mentioned. So the 0th time, the 2nd time, and the 3rd time. Or, well, this one's wrong, sorry. But the 0th time, the 2nd time, and the 5th time. Or the 1st time, the 3rd time, and the 6th time in actuality. And then here, for every link in here, and these ones this is the quotes itself. So for every quote, it increases the counter by 1. And if the count that it is on is also in this dictionary, so if it counts 0, which is the first one, if it's in, so this is count 0, and 0 is also in the dictionary, it figures out that 0 is equal to count, and it prints the quote. So it prints this out. And that's just kind of how it works. If you did it differently, I'd love to know how you did it in the comments, because this is the only way I could think of in a short amount of time. So I would love to know.